Well, looking at what you've done, so we talked about that. So let's go on to now. You now are inside the Bears. You know, you work with Lauren Screendon. I love her. She's great. We're going to get her on the show at some point too. When you look at Inside the Bears being, just a variety type show, interviewing players, and I know you haven't been around much because I haven't been around. I'm going to the Vikings today, so I know how that is. And the offseason is a little bit different about time you spend over there. But just the
Yeah.
immediate being around Chicago. I mean, you talk to Alex Brown, you talk to Azuma, all Peanut Tillman. What's the mentality change now? Looking at Ryan Poles, moving on from Matt Nagy.
Ryan Poles, I actually practiced against him. He was my
Okay.
teammate. So you got a guy who actually played the game, which I think is going to give them a lot of insight. I think this draft is going to be huge for them. They're already making moves. They traded Khalil Mack, so of course they're going to get some draft picks, more draft picks than what they had or whatever. So they're making moves, and we'll see what happens because everything looks good on paper, but you still got to
Mhm.
get people together and have them gel and be around each other doing events. Like we used to go bowling and we used to go out to dinner a lot of times, as a group. So I think that's going to be real important with these next upcoming weeks is to get everybody together and make sure everybody shows up for off-season workouts. And you know how it is, man. I'm
Yeah.
singing to the choir right now, man. But you gotta get all these guys together, man, to understand one another. Because I remember playing with Tommy Harris, and he liked playing with me because I gave him the freedom to make a mistake or to do
Mhm.
something. It'd be a lot of times where we'll have a defense called in the huddle, but Tommy may see something that his guard is doing that it doesn't make sense to do what the defense is called. So a lot of times I'll see a flash come across my face, and if I see that, then I know I got to go to his gap just in case
Mhm.
somebody runs in his gap. And I gave him the freedom to do that. And so this, when it comes to defense, you got to get people together so that they can trust one another, and that
Yeah.
starts early. That starts in off-season training. So it's one thing to get the guys in there, but it's also another thing for guys to gel together. So I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and looking at Justin Fields, he made a comment to NBC Sports, and he said
What
that
he
the
say?
first game.
What he say, dog? I want to hear this.
He said his quote, and I don't want to quote him wrong, was that the first game plan he saw from Matt Nagy, he was extremely
Uh,
disappointed. He didn't feel like they put him in a position to win. Some people
mm,
say, well, maybe they didn't think Justin Fields was smart enough. Of course, that black quarterback stigma always pops up when people talk about Lamar Jackson and guys like that they try to dumb the offense down for them. I don't think that's true. But when you look at Matt Nagy, you're not really having a true game plan because when you drafted Justin Fields, not knowing if he's going to be day one starter or not, X, Y, and Z. What do you think the future of what Justin Fields can be for the Chicago area?
I like what he showed later on in his rookie year, and I just think that as far as the offense for this year, they have to work towards his strength. Maybe have him roll out a couple more times. Maybe have him do some RPOs or something like that. Like use his talents, but don't overuse him. Like you don't want to. Like he found out a lot early. Like sometimes you just need to slide. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I know you want to try to get that extra yardage, but it's cool. Like you just got the first down. Sometimes it's cool to just go down and live to fight another day because people going for them ribs. People like it's not a game. And he found that out really, really quickly. And I think he made a comment one time of how fast they say the NFL is. That
Mm-hmm.
very next game, people showed him like, hey, dude, you might need to calm down with what you're saying right now. Like you give everybody bulletin board material. But I think the Bears really need to work towards his strengths, and I think he's going to spend that time to work on his game to polish some things up. I think he's already talking with a lot of his wide receivers right now, and hopefully they can all get together and, like I said, get that bond that they need. Because I mean, if you think about, I hate to like compare quarterbacks to like the all-time greats, but
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady would be throwing to Julian Edelman. Like, before it's the official off season. They'll be
Mhm.
throwing slants and all type of dig routes and stuff like that. So I think if he could just find the time to get with some of his wide receivers, or maybe just meet them where they at, and just say, hey man, let's just go throw, man. Let's go work out, something like that. You know what I mean? If you can start building that relationship right now, then I think we'll benefit when the season starts.
And last one before I get you out of here, man. Hot take. I know when you're looking at quarterback play, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, there's a lot of quarterbacks people would say we would take them over Justin Fields. Like we would trade Tom Brady for Justin Fields just to try to get 1 year and get a Super Bowl. If you were to look
Mhm.
at Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins, would you take Kirk Cousins over Justin Fields?
Hey man, you know what? Kirk Cousins get a lot of heat, man, but he's really one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah,
If you look at his numbers, he I think he threw for more yards than the MVP.
yeah,
The MVP this year was Aaron Rodgers, right? I think he threw for more yards than he did. Maybe he may have had like 3 or 4 more interceptions, but I'm really like I'm okay with his stats for this year. But as far as it concerned with him over Justin Fields, the way the league is set up right now, they're paying off of potential. So I don't see the Bears taking on that contract right now. I don't think they can. Like, because I
hmm
think Kirk Cousins, you got to pay Kurt like at least 30 million.
yeah,
I
yep.
don't think they're gonna do that. That'll be I don't think that's gonna happen right there. The 30? Not for the 30. No. We gonna stick with this 2 or 3 or whatever it is that we paying Justin Fields right now, and we're gonna try to make it work.